Hey guys! So Kristina made a video about depression and suicide. So I guess I'll start with the positive, which is this is a low bar, but she doesn't celebrate Bourdain's death. I talked about that in a past video. A very small number of vegans doing that because of comments he made about veganism and about vegans. It's still a plus, I'm glad she didn't do that. She was very, very respectful. And then the other thing is that she talks about later in the video, just reaching out to people in your life who you think might need a little bit of help, just even if it's just asking, are you okay? Other than that, this video is not great. It's quite a mess. It reminds me of this tweet, which I thought was really funny until then I watched Kristina's video and was like, oh yeah, this is really a thing. I mean, this is pretty much the embodiment of Kristina's message in this video, which is just to eat well and exercise and get sleep and go outside in nature and feel connected.
Reconnect with yourself in whatever way you possibly can. Get out in nature, climb a tree, hug a tree, spend time in the sun, soak up the vitamin D, watch animals, put your feet in the grass, look at the green, moving in the wind, some kind of a connection. From there, change your diet.
Oh, and also don't eat processed foods because they have additives and chemicals that are designed to make you depressed.
If you're consuming processed junk foods all day, there are additives and chemicals in there that are designed to make you feel depressed.
Source? I'm pretty sure additives and preservatives, whatnot, are used to preserve food and to color certain food. I'm not saying that environmental factors like diet and exercise can't help and don't play a role. There are definitely people who start exercising, start eating well, and their depression symptoms diminish or even go away completely, and that's awesome. But number one, additives were designed to make you depressed is absolutely ridiculous. And number two, we need to acknowledge that there are people who do eat right, who do exercise, who do manage their stress, who do get enough sleep, and they still suffer from depression. I've been dealing with this for a decade and a half at least, eating various different diets, and I have struggled with depression through all of it. The only thing that has eradicated my symptoms completely is drugs. Not pot or anything like that, but an SSRI. And it's the same with other kind of external factors. There are people who are dealing with depression primarily because of the situation that they're in. Maybe they are under extreme financial strain or they are in an abusive relationship. I mean, there are people who get out of those situations and their depression goes away, and that's awesome. But then there are those of us like myself who live really good lives and we have nothing in our life that we would change, and yet we're still depressed. For people like me, it's not about self-love. It's not about going outside and hugging a tree. It's about fixing our brains. It's about seeking professional help. Sometimes that means just therapy. Sometimes that means just an SSRI. Sometimes it means both. Sometimes none of that works. I mean, there are people who've been dealing with depression for decades who still are dealing with depression. Nothing has helped them because unfortunately it's just so hard to treat. I'm really fortunate that I responded positively to the drug, to the SSRI that I was given, to the first one that I was given. That's awesome. And even then there's still a side effect of the drug that I don't like. I don't like it at all. At the end of the day, I had to choose between my mental health and this side effect going away. And of course, I chose my mental health. Point is, it's shocking to me that not once does Kristina mention treatment in this video.
I know that there are so many different kinds of suicide numbers that you can call right now to get support. And maybe perhaps if you're watching this and you're fearful of that, you're thinking, well, I don't know these people. Why would they possibly be able to talk me out of such a crime? If that's not something for you, and if there's nobody else available for you to talk to, I ask you to be brave and reconnect with you right here.
That's ridiculous. If you think you are struggling with depression, please go seek professional help. Please go see your doctor. When I finally drummed up enough courage to make the call, I got an appointment literally the next day. I got into the doctor. They gave me the questionnaire. You can find it online. I scored off the charts and I was prescribed medication. I had an appointment with a psychiatrist right then and there, literally 45-minute appointment, and went to my, Walgreens afterwards, got my medication, and that was it. It took not even 2 hours. Obviously, it might not be that easy for you. It might not go that quickly for you, but it is so worth the effort. If you think you are dealing with this, please don't just start drinking green juices or exercising. Please go seek help. So she talks about dealing with her own depression and even having thoughts of suicide, but not following through because she realized that she had a bigger purpose, a greater purpose on this earth.
I would be lying to you if I said that it didn't cross my mind that taking my life would have been the easier option at the time. But I didn't, because I understood that my self-love and my purpose here is much bigger than that. And we as humans have much more to do on this planet to make this world a better place, and that gave me hope. And what really got me through this difficult time was taking care of my body, because no matter how scary my mind got, I knew that I was still providing nourishment and love to myself through my food, and that connection was keeping me grounded, as grounded as I could have been in that moment in time. I really do believe that that's what saved me.
And that's great, but my main problem with this video is that it comes across as she is telling people what to do and how to feel and how to get through their depression. Again, without recommending treatment and just thinking certain things. But for many of us, our brains are so diseased, quote unquote, that we aren't thinking rationally. You know, for me, my depression, when I finally did get help, it was constant, like every day. But prior to that, it was more manageable. And I typically had like episodes, I would call them, a few times a month. And during these episodes, I was really uninterested in anything, and I was really quick to anger. And the worst part is that the way that I felt about certain situations that I did not feel when I was not depressed, you know, when I'm feeling normally, I didn't feel that way. But during my depression, when I'm feeling angry and when I'm feeling certain thoughts about a situation or about a person, I'm convinced that these are the true feelings, that this is the truth, capital T, and that now I'm like seeing the light. And it sounds insane because like, well, don't you catch on to that and realize that like, okay, when I have these feelings again, I'm going to know that it's just my depression talking and it'll be fine. No, it doesn't work that way. Every single time I would feel and think crazy things, I would think that this is correct and I need to act on this.
And the worst part about it for me personally is that every single time I get to that place, every time, it feels completely and utterly permanent. I can be laying in bed and I'm like rationalizing and I'm like, okay, yeah, every other time I felt better in a few days, I felt better in a few hours, but this really I think this is it. I think this is just my new personality. I think I'm just sad guy now because I'm going through all the shit that I like and it sounds boring as fuck. Laughing, candy, boobs, I don't even care. I don't know if I'm going to care anymore, and I don't know how to tell myself that I will.
That's great that Kristina didn't have that problem and she was able to stop and really think rationally. That's awesome. But a lot of us just don't have that ability. When I finally accepted that, that's when I was able to go get treatment, and that's when I was finally able to stop the cycle. That was the biggest barrier for me for getting treatment, because even saying it now, it's hard. It just sounds so stupid. You know, how, like, you know you're going to have those episodes. You know you're going to feel like that. Just tell yourself, like, it's not true. You know you're dealing with depression, but you don't. I never did. I never did. And the only thing that stopped it was getting on a drug that literally fixed my brain and just kept it from happening in the first place. So yeah, if you're feeling like that, and if that's stopping you from getting treatment because you feel like it's stupid, like you shouldn't feel that way, you're being stupid by not getting treatment. Go get help. And it's not your fault. It's not because you're a bad person or a stupid person. I know I just said you're being stupid, but I'm joking, obviously. It's not because you're stupid. It's just because there's something wrong with your brain that medicine might be able to fix, or again, maybe just treatment, a combination of the two. Just please go talk to a professional. So then at some point, Kristina mentions being a Tony Robbins fan and even going to one of his events or whatever, where he like screams at you. And it's so weird because I always think of Tony Robbins as the Shallow Hal Tony Robbins, where he's like very calm and just seems so nice. I never I didn't know anything about him until maybe just within the last year when I actually looked him up and was like, oh, the dude is actually really terrible. Yeah, so it's not surprised that she holds these views because these are the views that he holds, right? He believes in this kind of self-help thing and that if you're depressed, it's kind of your own fault, you know what I mean? Like maybe take better care of yourself, like maybe start exercising, lose weight, eat right, whatever, you know, pay $5,000 to go to his event and then you'll be cured.
But start to feed yourself fruits and vegetables. Nature is a bounty. And begin to take care of yourself in that way, because when your body is nourished, when your physical self is nourished, your mind and your spirit are also nourished.
And the final thing I want to talk about is, I guess, more about my own depression, since I mentioned in the postpartum one that I might do a video on that, and suicide a little bit, because I've never been suicidal, but I don't think it's that cut and dried, I guess. I think it's more of a spectrum, and I think I was in a more precarious position than I thought I was at the time. So first, I'll start with the video that essentially convinced me that, oh wow, there might be something wrong with me. Like I might have depression. And I don't know what this video is. It was some random video from a YouTuber. I don't know, I'm sorry. He gave this example. He was just feeling really depressed, feeling really down, like, you know, bedridden, couldn't do anything. And he finally just got enough energy to just get up and go get a drink, went back to his room, dropped the glass, like the ice cubes went all over the floor, just everything's a mess. And he had just a thought of like, you know, if I weren't here right now, I wouldn't have to deal with this.
Just for a second, you look at it all and the spilled liquid and you go, hey, if I killed myself, I wouldn't have to clean this up. I'm not saying I'm going to, I'm not saying it's really going to happen, but if I killed myself, technically, let's be honest, the problem would be gone. That's all.
Which to any non-depressed person, it's like, oh, like it's either funny, like you're joking, or it's like, oh my God, like what do you mean? You need to go see someone. That's not normal. But for me, I mean, it was funny, and it was also like, holy shit, yeah, like that's exactly 100% me. There were times, the best way I could describe it is, you know, again, I never wanted to leave completely, but there were times when during my like episodes, I just wanted to not be, is how I would think of it. Which again, a normal person, that sounds bad. You might need some help. But for me, it was like, no, it's not anything violent. I just want to like not be, like I don't even want to lay in bed. Like even that is too much. Even just laying here watching a movie is too much. I just want to like completely go away. Even going to sleep is too much. I know it sounds weird, but I just wanted to like just completely be shut off. Again, not normal. So anyway, that was the video that made me go, oh wow, I might be depressed, because he's talking about having depression and he's talking about all these things and how he's feeling. And I was like, wow, holy crap, that's me. Okay. And then I didn't seek help for like a year and a half, 2 years. I don't know. It was a while. My point is that I wouldn't be surprised if there were a lot of people dealing with depression who have convinced themselves that it's not that serious because they're not suicidal. That's one of the things that kept me from going to treatment. It was easy to convince myself that, well, this isn't that big of a deal because it's not going to go that far. Of course, number one, if you're struggling day in and day out and you can't function properly, it doesn't matter. You don't just need that aspect of it, the suicide aspect, to go seek help, right? Like you still need to go seek help. But also, I think many of us feel like I did. No, you're not going to do anything, but you don't really want to be here. And also in general, for most of my life, I haven't cared if I lived or died. Again, now, I mean, even saying that, it's like, what the fuck? That is so terrible. But at the time, I didn't think it was not normal. I just thought it was like, yeah, well, you know, I'm not religious, so I don't think there's an afterlife. So, I mean, so what? I die, I'm not going to know I'm dead. Like, what's the big deal? Like, that is so, that's so warped. And the fact that I thought that was an okay position to have. I remember telling my partner that, and he was like, what? Like, what? You don't care? What? He didn't say it like that because he's a nice person. That's how I would respond to someone, because I'm not a nice person. No, he was just like, really? Like, that's not okay. And it was the first time I went, oh, wow, really? You know, of course I didn't respond like that. Of course I was like, no, it's fine. What do you mean? It's a fine position. But it was in my head. And eventually I was like, oh, oh yeah, maybe that's not okay. And then of course having a family, you know, I very much want to live now. And again, that's one of the reasons why I eventually did go seek treatment, is because I very much wanted to be as good as I can be for my family. And also I came to realize that, or I came to suspect that staying in this position of, I don't really care if I live or die. And again, once I had my family, that pretty much went away, but not when I was having my episodes. Like prior to that, I felt like that all the time. But even just having it for, you know, a few days a month, or again, in the few months before I got treatment, it was more like half of the month, and then it went to like every day. It got really bad. But even feeling that for just a few days a month, even, it's not safe. It's not a safe place to be, I don't think, because how big of a leap is it to go from I don't care to fuck it? I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist, nothing like that. But for me personally, I'm not comfortable staying in that zone. And also, it's not a happy way to live, to not care. It's not a good way to live. All that said, if you are feeling like that and you feel like you don't need to go get treatment because you're not on the verge of doing anything violent, you still probably need treatment. If you are feeling like that, it's not a normal way to feel. If you are having thoughts some days that then you look back on, you know, a day or two later and you go, oh, that's not correct, you might need help. So that's it. I don't think I cried. I think I almost did, but not like really. A lot of this wasn't necessarily about Kristina, but I thought I'd just make them kind of a whole one video. It's fine. It's easier, I guess. Of course, I have links and whatnot for depression help and suicide hotline, all that kind of stuff in the description. So please check those out if you need them, and I'll have a new video soon.